Let's talk to the Minister for Roads and MP for Adaklu, the Honorable Governor Kwame Agbodza. Happy New Year to you, Minister of Roads. Thank you for joining us.
Happy New Year to you, Bernard, and your colleagues at the studio and your viewers generally.
Wonderful. You are the first person we are interviewing this year because for us, the most important issue is still roads. I don't know. So the pressure is not going down. So we will not allow you to even enjoy your break. What is the agenda
for? No need to enjoy it. We have work to do.
Should we take 2026 as a road focus year? How determined is this government to prioritize roads this year?
Well, Bernard, the president has already made a huge commitment to the people of Ghana to improve the road network across the country. You heard him personally say that during the campaign and even today, whenever he goes to meet stakeholders, everybody is talking about the need for the road network, wherever they live, to be improved. And I agree with him. So he's committed a lot of resources to this through budget. He causes the finance minister to read. And my job is to make sure that that vision of the president comes to pass. So yes, I agree with you. This year, next year, we would have to see a lot of work being done. Fortunately, the core of the project have now all been awarded. It's time for us to now focus on the contractors and the consultants. And also, Bernard, one of the things that I'm going to need your help and the help of your network to do is to monitor contractors to make sure that whilst it's our responsibility to make sure we specify and insist they use the right materials, I think it's going to have to be a collective thing to make sure that when we spend these monies, we actually get the best value in terms of quality materials. And also the campaign that we are trying to launch within the next few weeks to ensure that we limit or completely eliminate overloading on the network. Bernard, if we spend all this money to build all the roads or rehabilitate them, and we allow overloading on the roads, the roads will not last. So we don't want it to be like a punitive measures. We want it to be a stakeholder driven. So we are going to launch a campaign to bring stakeholders, haulers, transporters, everybody on board to make sure when the core of the policy comes out, it can be implemented and everybody will abide to make sure that we reduce the unnecessary overloading on our road to prolong the lifespan of the road as we expect it to be.
I think one of the biggest challenges with some of the stored road projects was the effect of the DDEP on a number of major roads. Are you able to tell us that
yes,
that matter is no longer an issue, i.e. that new sources of funding or old sources of funding have been revived to finish the DDEP encumbered roads?
Yes, this is a very important question, and then I think there are many contractors, especially those doing the 10-key EPC contract, have been wishing to know. Yes, we are almost 100% through the debt restructuring. So almost all those projects that stalled because of the debt restructuring are now being reactivated. So for instance, even the Sino-Hydro ones, include all the stalled projects like the Interchange in Takrady and all those things are all resolved now. We are in the final stages. In fact, if the contractors want to go back to site today, they can do that. If you see the Ashama runabout towards Atimpoku, that issue has fully been resolved. The contractor has even started drawing down. The Domi Kitasi situation has been resolved, though the scope has been increased, and government of Ghana has committed to pay for the extra scope through GOG sources. That contractor is also on site. I want to take the opportunity. I hear some members of the community complaining that the contractor is not working as quickly as they should be. Where the stage at which the contractor, First Car, is now, they need to haulage a lot of material, treat them for the laying of the 040. So they need more time to haulage, treat, before they start laying, because when they start laying, they cannot stop. So the contractor actually did not stop work. It's a different phase, which means that they are not digging the road as people expect to see, but they are doing haulaging and the procurement, and then when they come back, you see the work will progress quickly. The same applies to the motorway towards Central University, which has been a very terrible situation. Fortunately, the first guy is working on the tranche 2 on that one, and he promised that within the next few weeks, you will see that the pace of the work would improve. So across the country, all those toll projects under the loan agreement and other things are being revived. The Kumasi Swami Interchange, those commercial ones, we don't intend to go back. What we have done is to capture the cost to complete under the president's big push project, and then pay the arrears owed to the contractor as well, so that they can all go back to work. So yes, the answer is that we have a solution to all those toll projects.
Wonderful. Usually when a major road project is being done, one of the things communities complain about is the inconvenience of the road construction. And usually the best practice is to have alternative routes. So for example, Accra-Tema motorway is being done. The beach road should be the alternative. I admit that large portions of the beach road have been done, but let's assume I live in Dansoman and I want to get to Tema. There are still portions of the beach road around La that have not been finished, parts of Nungwa that have not been finished. Do you not think we should prioritize making the whole beach road motorable fully, in addition to then building the Tema motorway? Because the construction inconveniences people and causes traffic. So if we want to go to Tema and don't want to use the motorway, the full beach road should be done. But there are many portions that have still not been finished.
Yes, I agree with you, and then I sympathize with all of us, because I'm also a motorist. I use that road all the time, and I know that the increased pace of work on the motorway significantly impedes traffic, especially during the rush hours, and I see it happening all the time. Unfortunately, we don't have an alternative to what the contractor is doing. We needed to do so. He does do a bit of diversions, temporary diversions and other things, but we just need to pray that the public bear with us. It will not be something forever. But the significant one you mentioned was from the Independence Square through Teshi, Nungwa, Junction Mall back to Tamak, which is supposed to be an alternative route to Tamak. Unfortunately, that project should have been completed long before now, but it also fell victim to the debt restructuring. It was part of the loan originally from President Mills's, if you remember, 3 billion China Development Bank loan. We couldn't complete it. The previous government came, restarted it. Unfortunately, we fell into this debt situation. It is all being resolved now under the what I mentioned earlier. But in the interval, what we have decided to do is to, within our own strength, begin to complete portions that appear to be the worst portion. The Teshi Bridge, there's another part of the bridge when you get to Melcom at Teshi that needed to be completed. The junction mall itself, the interchange that was abandoned by the help of Oswald, we've been able to do a lane that you can go from Accra side into towards the junction mall. So we are incrementally improving it, but I agree with you. If it were to be fully completed, it would have been an easy alternative to the motorway. But unfortunately, they all appear to be works in progress. So yes, it's a challenge. I can only appeal and apologize to the public and please that give us a bit of time. It will all be resolved.
Yeah.
What was the problem in the past was that when nothing was being done, now you can see that something is being done, and it's our responsibility to make sure we expedite work to make sure that the frustration and the pain of the people does not last forever, and we are determined to do that.
Great, because I noticed that the Kweshi Bridge had been done, the Labadi Beach Hotel Road towards that area had been done, but then when you come back into going towards Osu, there are portions which, like where the former General Hospital is, which have not been finished, and it doesn't seem like that requires so much money. It's almost like it's less than a kilometer. So I wonder why that has been left, and it causes a serious bottleneck sometimes. Is it that there's no money to do it, or you want the contractor to do it. You don't want to take over. You can't let somebody else do it.
No. In fact, the contractor is capable. It's the same contractor that completed that section of the Pesci Bridge and then the front of the La Badi Beach Hotel. In fact, they were supposed to move on to the next phase, the next place you are talking about. Truth be told, we owe that contractor a lot of money prior to the election. Unfortunately, because it's part of the CDD loan, it's not as simple as government of Ghana deciding to take the project over, especially when the contractor is capable. It's being resolved. So what we have done is that, fortunately, the contractor have done some GOG funded works. So we are basically trying to get those certificates cleared so that they can have some liquidity to get those works done. So I wouldn't blame the contractor at this stage because they are doing their best. And the section you mentioned, which is in front of the La General Hospital coming from the Ring Road, T Junction, I think that is also going to be resolved. They are on site, but the pace is slow. That is the reality. And we're going to help them to increase the pace and get that section also completed. Let
me do a few specific ones before I let you go. The city of Tema has a major issue. The 7-kilometer stretch from Valco and about to Boom via Tor is in a bad state. Now, my challenge is that Tor has started producing oil again. That whole area is a strong industrial area. You should have first-class roads there, but the roads there are so bad. Is it within the scope of the port to fix it? Is it the assembly? Who's in charge of this Valco and about to Boom via the Tor road? Who's in charge?
Well, Bernard, it's a public road, and public road means that it's the responsibility of government. But fortunately, in the course of last year, I had an interaction with a number of stakeholders, that's manufacturers and other things in the area. And we have come to an agreement to do an assessment of all the road network within that enclave, including the 7-kilometer you were talking about, right from Valco and about going towards Pone and all those things. Urban Road is concluding on that. In fact, some of the stakeholders, the manufacturers, actually proposed that they don't mind sharing the cost with the state. But then when they ask the question, how much is it? Because that cost was not available, we couldn't just say to them, this is it. But Bernard, if I look at this, the caliber of industries along that stretch, I believe if we want to share the cost, we can get that done quickly at less pain to everybody. The government pays some, maybe Valco pays some Central. I mean, the list is long. Nestle, everybody is there. And they have never said they don't want to participate. So we are trying to do something which will make sure that we get that completed within the cost of the year as well. So yes, it is a very terrible road. The transporters, everybody complain about it. But looking at the caliber of investors in that area, I give an example. We take taxi from Newmont, but this year alone, last year alone, Newmont is committing almost $100 million, apart from the taxes and everything they pay, to improve some major roads in the country. And I was encouraging these investors in the industrial area that, yes, you paid your tax and other thing, but to say that pay $5 million extra for us to do a first-class road in front of your industry and other thing will not be too much to ask, because others are doing it, and many of them agree with me. So we are working towards that as well. It's not, in fact, the road right from the port all the way back to the motorway itself, it needed to be improved. But the only thing is that we are also about starting the road from the MPS section, that's the Meridian Port section, on the hospital road back to the motorway, which is an alternative also we are working on currently with GPHA and MPS.
A lot of roads don't have road markings, and some roads in dark areas don't even have reflectors. Is it a priority to you? If it is, what is your assurance that you are going to make sure that these roads, beyond putting bitumen and making them motorable, are actually well demarcated and well marked, so that people will not be running into each other and driving at night doesn't become that hazardous?
Yes, it's a number one priority for us to build roads and maintain them to ensure public safety. Indeed, when we improve roads, we expect that it should improve safety. So it is 100% priority of the ministry to make sure these things you're talking about are there. For instance, if you take the road between Independence Square running through Teshi, Nungwa, you realize that because the road is under construction and we've done expansion, some of the traffic lights are no longer working because the cabling and other things have been affected. What is the solution? We could put in temporary traffic lights, but then they needed to dig different routes of cabling and other things. But I think the best thing to do is to work with MTTD temporarily to help us whilst we speed up the work so that we install the designed traffic lights at those intersections that will last and will create a safety situation. But generally across the country, I agree with you that there were situations where some traffic lights were broken down, other things. But sometimes, Bernard, it is not because we haven't done the work. Not too long ago, you noticed that the interchange, the end of the interchange that was done by the Japanese, I think commission not too long ago. The traffic light went off and then the public were taking videos and complaining. Bernard, do you know what happened? Some unpatriotic citizens of our country went and removed the cable, the underground cable, connecting the traffic light. So it was not because it was broken, but because somebody went and vandalized and stole the cables. It took some time for us to trace that, and then now the cables have been laid at an additional cost. We have tried to actually close up the gaps where the people can go and then steal these cables. But sometimes it's not simply because we are not investing or we are not improving them. Sometimes we need the cooperation of the public to understand that those members of the public who do these things are not helping any of us. So sometimes we do this. Sometimes it's also that because they've overstayed, they have lasted longer than they should be, and we constantly put aside money through the road maintenance trust fund to rehabilitate some of them. And the truth is that many of these maintenance contractors were owed part of what we call the almost 10 billion owed under the road maintenance trust fund, were all monies owed contractors who have done work and have not been paid, so they stop working. We are paying all of them gradually so that they can come back and make improvement to these intersections, including the road line marking, the traffic lighting, and everything.
Now, are road tolls under your purview or under the Transport Minister's purview?
The road toll is a factor, under the purview of the highways, but now being reintroduced to be generally on all public roads. I am looking forward to a completion of that procurement process this month, and then the would-be operator will be selected, and then the public education will start on what we intend to do. And what we intend to do is that all public roads that have been engineered, that have been improved, will have a certain level of tolling on them so that we can raise revenue to complete some of the ongoing projects and also to maintain the roads. But we interface with Ministry of Transport. How do Ministry of Transport, Ministry of the Interior, because of the enforcement of the law. So, for instance, when we say we are introducing a new road toll where we don't need physical toll booths, in any case, the ECOWAS leaders' recommendation is that across the region, road tolling should now be rolled out on digital platform, no impediment in terms of physical toll booths. So we are actually ahead of that schedule. So we are working with the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Communication and others to make sure we have this rolled out appropriately.
Okay, so are you able to tell us timelines? So the procurement process is ongoing. We are in January. If everything goes well, by what date will the road toll system be fully running?
I am aware that the stage at which they are is the bidders and the ministry are working together on a particular data which determines exactly the vehicular traffic volumes across the public road network. That has been happening for the past 1 month, I am aware that ends this month. That is why I said that by the end of this month, we think there's a resolution to that, because they've gone through 2 stages of the bidding process already. I will be able to come back to you in the course of next 2 weeks to tell you exactly when the overall program and procurement program would end and when a would-be operator will be selected.
There's an interesting question from Cyril, a regular listener. He says, Bernard, can you ask the minister what their plans are to fix seemingly minor potholes on major roads like the Ring Road that eventually become major potholes and cause so much traffic? For example, the Accra-Kumasi Road is a big example of potholes that went unchecked and have now become a major hazard on that stretch. Good morning.
Yes, I agree with the caller. If you notice, just before Christmas, I personally witnessed something. When you're coming from Accra-Kumasi Circle, then you come over Bishop Lamte, the new interchange, heading towards Kolebu. And there's this traffic light at the Zungo Junction, terrible. And I saw an ambulance rushing to Kolebu, and then, they have to stop because of that bad section. And we committed that we will fix that before Christmas. It has been done. The next one is exactly where my brother talked about. Originally, the interchange I mentioned, the Obesity interchange, running right by the side of the Kaneshi market and other, is supposed to go all the way past that traffic light so that we can actually separate the congestion along the Kaneshi area. Unfortunately, that is not what we've done. So, for you to approach the interchange, you will still be stuck in traffic because of the trotros parking by the side there. It's made worse when the ground condition at that traffic light and the one beyond those places are very bad. So, once the contractor has finished this, we are moving in to try to fix the few ones that he's talking about. But that road capacity is no longer fit for purpose. Something is being thought about, but it all depends on how much revenue or resources we can have. But with the issue about the portals and other things, Urban Road is working on it, and we will address them one after the other. We are actually addressing many of these things on daily basis, and I'm sure this one also shall be resolved.
Because there's an everlasting pothole at Dansoman Junction known as Hansonic. That pothole has been there for almost 15 years, and it causes so much traffic, and I don't know why. I don't know. It's almost like they don't know what to do about it. It's a massive pothole.
It's a
Hansonic Junction. Yes.
Traffic light.
There's a massive pothole there.
Okay.
And it's always there. You should ask the Dansoma people. Let me do 2 more points before you go. Here's a comment from a listener on the Kaswa-Winneba Road. He says, good morning. The minister should tell the contractor on the Kaswa-Winneba Road to water the road. The dust is too much, especially from Gomwa Akoti towards Winneba. The dust is so much that we are getting respiratory issues. I don't know if this has come to your attention, the fact that when a road is being done, it generates a lot of dust, and whether watering of the road is part of the contractor's remit. Is this something they are enjoying to do, or do they do it out of goodwill?
No, it is all priced into the contract and paid for. I must say that the contractor has done a lot of work already. They are asphalting some of the sections. I suspect what the person is talking about is part of the slip roads that are left to be done. But despite that, once it is being done, we expect that there will be water bowsers on the road anytime they are working and it generates dust. They're supposed to water the ground to hold the dust down. So we'll bring this to the attention of the contractor. I know the contractor has done a lot of work, and we are almost in the final stages where they are laying asphalt so that we can complete that section. It's the same contractor that is moving and doing the Winneba runabout being changed into an interchange currently, and then moving from Winneba to Mankesim. You realize that the way we are doing from Winneba to Mankesim is different. We are leaving the existing road and then actually building the new road by the side without tampering with the existing road. And when we finish the new side, we switch the traffic before we touch the new road. which is an improvement on over what we did from Kaswa to Winneba. So we have learned our lessons in terms of doing things better, and you will see that from Winneba to Mankesim will be done completely different.
Here's a follow-up to your comment on the Tor Valco Road. This listener is called Winifred from Tema. He says the companies in the industrial area have always wanted to fix the roads in that enclave. The challenge, however, has been that the government wants the companies to give the money directly to them, while the companies insist on paying the contractors directly and overseeing the project together with government oversight. They are concerned that government workers may, quote, tear chobo, unquote, if the money is handed over directly. This is Winifred from Tema. I don't know if this has come to your attention.
Bernard, President Mahama's the government doesn't indulge in things like that. I've also heard comments that in the past these companies showed interest in supporting, but according to them, some people wanted the money transferred to the chest of government and used. No, we don't need to do that. All we need to do is currently to agree on the scope of works. Where is the road? In fact, we are not only talking about the Bakura and about towards Bone. That is not what we are talking about. With the road that networks to the factories of the stakeholders, we want to work on all that, show them the design and the costing, and then discuss how to pay. We can even share in the procurement of which competent contractors can do this, and surely they don't need to transfer any money to us. We can work, provide technical services in terms of supervision, and they can decide to pay the contractors directly. So let them be assured that Ministry of Road and Highways or Urban Road is not interested in taking money from any entity to put in our coffers before we pay contractors. You can pay them directly. Indeed, I give a very good example of Newmont. Newmont doesn't, have to suffer when they can pay contractors directly, and they do pay contractors directly. We can adopt the same method so that the stakeholders feel assured that their money is going directly to fix the problems that they want to fix. So I can assure them that is what will happen.
Let me now ask you about some big road projects for your comment. Tony from the Eastern Corridor says, ask the minister about the Accra-Kumasi road. It's 30 kilometers and is the west part of the Eastern Corridor stretch. This is Tony texting from Kwasa. Is this true that the Accra-Kumasi is the west of the Eastern Corridor? And do you know if it's been given in contract or awarded to anybody and progress of work on that road?
Yes, Bernard. The shortest route between Greater Accra to, assuming you are going to Tamale, would have been through the Eastern Corridor. In fact, even at the current state, you are more likely to get to Tamale if you were to use the Eastern Corridor than if you were to use the in a very, very terrible state over the period. And but the contractors are back on site. The contractors are back on site and are working. If you were to go through the section he's talking about now, China Janzi is on site and they are working. And it's part of the Big Push project currently. So it's not the same. It has improved greatly and the contractor is actively on site working towards completion.
Very good. Bernard, please ask the minister why there is zero work on the interchanges between TT Brothers and Central University.
TT Brothers and Central University. Yes. Yes, that one, we call it tranche 1 of the road between the motorway to Central University by a British company called BHM. Unfortunately, they all fell victim to the debt restructuring and the work stalled. So yes, when you get to the Bone barrier, you will realize that there's an uncompleted interchange project there. When you go further down towards the custom barrier there, you will see another one. All these form part of the tranche 1 under BHM. And once the debt situation has been resolved now, I am expecting BHM, and I'm using this platform also to encourage them. You have absolutely no reason to be off-site. The issue of the debt has been resolved. Many contractors are back on site. What First Car is doing is tranche 2. That is the main carriageway and the relocation. In fact, we have taken over the relocation of the services which used to be part of the duties of BHM into First Car's contract now, and they are working on it. So we expect that BHM will be back on site and actively working alongside First Car to make sure the whole corridor is completed.
Another one, and I really want to thank you for talking to us on short notice, because when we mention roads, everybody is interested. Amos from the Eastern region says he traveled from Koforidua to Atuabo and it took him 11 hours. And he says the reason was that the Takoradi to Agona stretch was particularly bad. Again, what is your comment on Takoradi to Agona, and what is your assurance that it will be finished within the allotted time?
Well, Takoradi to Agona Junction is actually under construction. You remember the last few weeks ago, myself and President Mahama went for an inspection on Takoradi to Agona Junction, where that project is being done by Josmo. And it was awarded before we came, but the contractor worked and not a penny was paid. And President Mahama directed that all monies owed that contractor, about $78 million, be paid. And that money has been paid. So today, if you go to that section from Takoradi to Agona Junction, how do you call it? Work is being done. But I don't know the exact section he's talking about, because this particular one is being done.
Based on your briefing, it's being done. Okay.
Those sections.
All right. Maybe then it's not finished, and sometimes the road construction and rush hour Christmas could have caused the traffic. I want to go back to the point I raised about road markings. A listener says that he didn't really get your answer specifically on what plans you have for road markings. It looked like you spoke more about traffic lights. I think the question was about prioritizing road markings and also road reflectors, because we cannot have all our roads have street lights. So to ensure road safety, the road must be properly marked, or it must have a reflector so that people will know where they are going. That seems to be a major issue in our country. Street lights are not necessarily your remit. The assemblies are to do street lights, but road markings and road reflectors are within your remit. So my question is, do you have, for example, an estimated percentage of how many of our roads have been properly marked? What percentage have not been marked? How much it will cost to mark them? What timeline you are giving yourself, so that within the administration's next 3 years, you are going to make sure that all roads are properly marked? I think that's the question.
Okay, so let's start it this way. More than half of the road network in our country is not properly tarred in a good condition to be marked. So, for instance, you can't mark a rough road. You can't mark a road which has got huge potholes on it. Your priority will be to fix the potholes first, and then when the surface is fit for purpose, then you put road line marking. We call it road furniture. What I'm saying is that, indeed, we are every year we make an allocation based on how much we have to do maintenance works. The maintenance works will include the pothole patching, put back the broken traffic light, and then the road line marking and reflectors and everything. We do them, but what I hear him saying is maybe it is not enough, and I agree with him, because anytime you see us budget, what we budget for and what we actually get the appropriation, there's a vast difference between that. But we continue to improve it. And what you see is that since we are doing a lot more of improvement on these major roads, once they are done, it is automatic that the road line marking, the reflectors, the traffic light will automatically be improved on those sections. But apart from that, those sections that are just that the road line marking is fading, the reflectors are fading, are part of maintenance things that many of the time highways and urban road carry out, and we continue to do that. We will improve on them, as we said. In fact, you just give me an example of a pothole that is 15 years old, and it means it's almost older than my daughter. And I said that once we get these things, we appreciate the feedback from the public. I keep saying they are not problems to me. They are not problems to us. They are good feedbacks, because I couldn't see every part of the country at the same time. But members of the public can give me very good information. So as long as we get this positive feedback, we act on them and many more.
Let me go back to Eastern Corridor. You mentioned that in Accra-Kumasi was being done by a contractor. What about Hokwe to Central Kofi? Is it the same contractor? Because I know it's still on the Eastern Corridor, or is it a different contractor? And what is the update on Hokwe to Central Kofi Road?
Okay, so the west sections of the Eastern Corridor currently would be the Ave to Hokwe, and then Hokwe before you get to Jessica, and then the Pasa ongoing, as we talked about. Okay, first I have done some work all the way up to Have. I think it's complete. From Have to Hokwe used to be at Cocoa Road, and which have been abandoned. We've now taken over that as part of Big Push by Greenhouse Limited. Greenhouse is supposed to be working on that towards Hokwe and through Hokwe. And after Hokwe, then we have Rolida, which is that section was also originally part of Cocoa Road, which was abandoned. It's now part of Big Push. All the contracts have been innovated and effective. So you will see more of those projects becoming active in terms of construction from maybe next week going, when the contractors know that the Christmas, everything is over there, supposed to work. So from Hokwe towards Jessica, the section that is not yet complete is under Rolida, and they are very competent contractors, and they're going to get that fixed as well.
Is the Fufu-Solar road part of the priorities for 2026?
Fufu-Solar road, when we were doing salt cutting for the Techiman Solar to Wa Road, we also said we're starting work from Fufu-So towards the solar towards Fufu-Se. So because that's the one that will lead all the way back to Tamale. So yes, it's a priority project we are working on now.
But do you know who the contractor is and what the timelines are?
It's not part of what we done the salt cutting on, but it's been because we need to complete it. If you remember, that section of road was done in the past. Half of it, all the way to Damango and others, was done well, but other half was done by a contractor which did a very bad job, and the road totally failed. So we are trying to reconstruct it completely. So we are doing the design and everything so that one of the contractors on that corridor would move in and get it done.
All right. Just a quick feedback for you from somebody on Twitter. It says, Bernard, this person is he lives on the Anyirawasi to Ho stretch. He says the work is moving fast,
yes,
but they need to pay attention to safety. This is somebody tweeting at Ghana First. He says, ask the minister to prompt First Sky on safety concerns created as a result of their ongoing work on the Anyirawasi to Ho road. I actually use that road and I can confirm that work is going on. But this texter is saying that
yes,
they are not paying. I don't know whether he's talking about the night or the day. He says they are not paying attention to road safety. So you may want to keep an eye on that for me, if you can comment on that.
Yes, Bernard. As you know, I also use that road regularly, and anytime I'm using that road, I stop to interact with the contractors. Bernard, sometimes even just stopping, parking safely, because I know that is a construction site. We are trying to improve an existing road. I would just encourage motorists that the speed at which you drive from Ho to Accra before the commencement of this project, we should just have at the back of our minds that we cannot drive at the same speed because it's now a construction site. So the haste to think that you can drive through a construction site at the same speed must be revised. The contractors are doing their best. I agree that they need to improve on the. In fact, one of them I just told that I want to see your health and safety manager on site, and he told me he was working within another section. So by all means, the contractors will improve on the health and safety on the site. But I think that another thing we need to do also is to encourage the motorists, the public using the road, to also know that as long as for the next 2 years that is a construction site, we must drive in a much more safer way, i.e. slower than necessary when we are going through those sections that the contractors are working. Together, we can make the road safe even within the period of construction.
Let me end with Accra-Kumasi Road. On Thursday and Wednesday, it was terrible. You know, there's a very big church at Joaso, Philadelphia Church, and they held a 2-day program. Somebody left Kumasi at 6:30 a.m. and as of 6:20 p.m., they had not reached Accra. They were at Apejwa. In fact, by 10:30, they were at Joaso. Joaso is in the Asante Akim area, which is near Konongo. So the question is, again, of course, it's a single carriage lane, right? This part of the road that causes the traffic is a single lane part, which is close to a town. Shouldn't we finish the dualization immediately? Because even the bypass, because I think there was a Konongo bypass, right? If the bypass had been done and the road dualized, I think that 12-hour traffic would not have had such a bad effect. What is your comment on that in view of your own plans to build the Accra-Kumasi Expressway?
Well, okay, so you said for a certain 2 days that there's a program happening there, that the traffic was there. It is not the regular use of traffic. In fact, if you go to Palace Mall, the original Palace Mall, there's an alternative road to, the Spintex Road, which runs in front of a church. It's dualized.
Yeah.
But on the days that church is having a big program, you see that the road is closed down. It doesn't mean that the road doesn't have capacity. It is a one-off issue. I have said time and again that the completion of the dualization of the original Accra-Kumasi road is on cost. It will be completed. But it doesn't mean that if it's completed, when this church program takes place in the same way, it will not impede the traffic. What we need to do is to complete, but also to work with the church that in times like this, there will be a better management of the parking and people coming to the church within that 1 or 2 days so that we can limit the impact of that the activity on the road. That does not in any way question the the new Accra-Kumasi Expressway. Bernard, like I said to you, ECOWAS heads of state have signed up to an agreement that all major roads should have an alternative, exactly to address the kind of thing you are talking about currently. And when you have the alternative, then you can actually toll the new ones at a different rate and provide an alternative. So yes, the existing Accra-Kumasi road is going to be completed, and at the same time to provide an alternative. Maybe, imagine if the new Accra-Kumasi Expressway existed. Nobody would have complained about this because you can just jump on the alternative and then leave the church in peace for them to do their program, the 2-day program. And when they are gone, there will not be any problem. So the two issues are going to be addressed, and they are being addressed, to be honest.
Are you able to give us updates on the 4 bypasses left? You know, we have the Konongo bypass, we have the Osino bypass, a Nyinam bypass, and the Enyiresi bypass. Are you able to tell us what percentage of those bypasses have been finished, both going and coming from Kumasi, and when they will be finished?
On average, if you put all of them together, they are over 60% complete. In fact, one of them is completed and handed over as we speak. The challenge, though, is that, Bernard, as I've said in the past, Bernard, as of the time we went for the 2024 election, all the contractors working on those roads have stopped work. Why? Because the way the contract was awarded, in few months after the award of the contract, the cost of the project jumped from 1.9 billion to almost 4 billion. Since that was not budgeted, the previous government also didn't budget for it. Now we are in office, we need to make sure we budget for it properly. Bernard, we need to now revise the cost and the scope to make sure that whatever money we allocate to it will be able to complete it. So it is not as if it's been abandoned. It is simply because we need to know exactly how much do we budget to make sure that we don't fall into the same problem of attempting it and failing. So there's no problem about completing it. We are just trying to make sure that we have the right design, the right cost to complete, and the right budget to make it happen.
I'll let you go now, even though there are many more questions. When you come into a studio for an interview later, we can push further. But I'd like to thank you for speaking to us on short notice. Minister for Roads, Honorable Governor Kwame Agbodza, thank you. So that was the road minister speaking to us